First, I thought I'd go over the format of tonight's debate and also the rules that structure it. So my job here is twofold. My first is to ensure a consistent quality of debate. My second is to ensure the format of the safe space policy is upheld. So, the format, for those of you who are not aware. Both speakers will be given 5 minutes of protected speech to begin with. They'll be followed by 10 minutes where they will discuss with each other, which I'll try and shuffle backwards a little bit. This will be followed by 20 minutes of questions from the floor. Questions will be chosen at random. Both speakers will have a chance to respond to these questions. They'll be followed by another 10 minutes of debate, and then closing 5 minutes of protected speech each. It was agreed beforehand that you would leave the third one?
For the rest of the year. What she hears is, I'm paid 77 cents to a male dollar, or whatever, right? This is based on a conflation of wages and earnings. No woman is paid less for the same work as a man. That's illegal. And if they were, yes, companies would be full of them. Women don't apply for jobs at the same rates as men. It wouldn't matter. Employers would hire the women anyway because they're cheaper. It doesn't make any difference. And frankly, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny either. Because if you start looking at studies that are coming out now, Cornell, 2015, women going into STEM subjects have a 2-to-1 advantage over men going for the same jobs. Fewer women do apply, but they all get the jobs.
You've got to have had the degree, you've got to have done STEM, you've got to have done the A-levels, the GCSE, and then the degree.
Yes, and when women choose to do that, they have a 2-to-1 advantage over men in the workplace, and they get paid better.
When they choose to do it, yes. But you have to decide, in England, you have to try at 15 if you're going to do sciences or not. And at 15, women and girls aren't encouraged to do so. So yes, they're more likely to, but the amount of them doing it is vanishing, well, not vanishing, rare, quite rare.
Again, you have to explain, if you believe that the number of women in STEM subjects is too low because women are not being encouraged to do science subjects, there aren't enough women in physics and maths and philosophy, you have to explain why women dominate biology, why women dominate medicine.
Because of the girly sciences.
What does that mean?
They're the sciences that are more linked to caring professions.
I don't think you should make generalisations like that. Some people find that kind of offensive.
Would you care to define what you mean by girly sciences?
Girly sciences, particularly medicine and vet med, there's a caring aspect to those when you're working. They're the kind of nurturing. That's not what I said. That's not fair. That's not a very nice thing to say about men, though. They are the sciences that lend themselves to more caring professions. Therefore,
more caring than men.
By caring, what do you mean by caring?
As in the more.
It's just sexism.
No, please let her finish.
Women are more caring than men.
By saying this, I'm not condoning it. I'm saying it's the way it is on circumcising children at all. I think the difference is would be that male circumcision.
All right, order please. Thank you.
Male circumcision does tend to take place in sterile environments by medically trained professionals, whereas, and I am slightly generating here, female circumcision generally tends to take place in less sterile environments with less medically trained professionals. There is a movement in aid development to make a way of circumcising women that is safer and cleaner. It's not an ideal solution, but it would at least prevent the infections that come with it. The other thing I would say is that it is harder for a woman without a clitoris to orgasm than for a man without a foreskin to orgasm. So
women are the
No more heckling.
If that wasn't true, then a lot of men wouldn't be able to orgasm. Okay, and I've seen men with foreskins orgasm.
So women... What we've established, I think, is that women are the real victims of circumcision.
Do you think that?
No, that's what you just said. You were given an opportunity to continue what had been a very productive and constructive theme about some of the issues that men face. Instead, you chose a perfectly reasonable question about male circumcision. And some men's rights activists call it male genital mutilation. I think it's going a little bit too far, and you made women the victim of it.
Do you not? Can I ask?
Yes, you may.
Do you not think that do you accept that generally more female circumcision is done in a non-medically sterile environment?
Yes.
I have no clue.
Okay.
I don't think you do either.
I think
Actually, you have evidence? You're convinced of this?
I'm convinced this from studies that I've read, but...
Okay, very well. So there is evidence. The studies will be applied
Amnesty International's genital mutilation...
says that female circumcision happens in less sanitary conditions than men.
If you read the whole thing, that's the impression I took from it.
The impression you took from it.
Hold on a second, right. We're returning to an evidence-based debate. all this evidence will be uploaded after. Is that correct?
We don't want evidence-based debates. We can't have that.
Okay, look, evidence is perfectly fine, but we can't argue over the veracity of evidence here because there is no way of proving it. Do you accept that? Okay? Right, very good. So I'm going to continue on scene. We'll move to another question. Okay. I think we've already done that.
And I think my perception of it is that gender is more of a spectrum, and you get people at different ends of the spectrum that have different sort of characteristics of different parts. So it's unlike, I think it's sort of more of a broad church than just black and white.
Okay, would you catch one?
That's not whether gender is constructed or not means. You were talking about sexual orientation. There is a biological...
Sorry, what were you talking about?
I meant gender. I think gender is a spectrum. Sorry.
Okay.
I think gender is a spectrum.
Right. Gender is not socially constructed. That is a kooky progressive myth. Gender has a
No, that's fine.
What did I do now?
Just cut the line.
I can't say kooky.
You have every right to say kooky. However, you may say kooky as much as you like. I would just prefer that there were reports.
Hi, this is Milo.
Okay.
You keep attacking Rebecca's work quite personally, and you said that she likes to objectify men, but she doesn't like women being objectified. Mm-hmm. She actually wrote an article how she didn't like Brooklyn Beckham being called something like young, sexy, and beautiful, and how she thought that it was wrong that he was called that by another article. So that clearly shows that she doesn't like...
Well, I never said she was consistent, but she did write an article in the wake of the Charlotte Proudman issue, and there was a lawyer who decided she didn't want to be a lawyer anymore, she wanted to be a Guardian columnist, so she made a name for herself by complaining that a man had said she looked nice. Well, I'm sorry, love. So she went to town, publicly shamed him.
I suspect this is verging the rounds about hominem attacks.
I am really interested to hear where you're going there, because I don't think I read it.
In your piece, you said that if it was a man, you'd probably have laughed. Do you want me to quote it?
I'm genuinely, yes, I would, because I'm not saying you're wrong, I just don't remember writing it.
I'll find it while you're
After this, one last question, just to clarify.
Yeah, it was, if I knew that a male member of staff was speculating about how I look naked, I would cause the sort of fuss that would make Charlotte Proudman look meek. If I heard a female colleague doing the same thing about Andrew in accounts, I'd probably laugh and I might even join in.
And I completely right. And do you know what? I think the fact that I would say something like that, I think that is really problematic. I think that shows. I'm personally happy to accept that's a problematic way to think about men, and I should not have said that.
One further question. I believe you've had your...
Having a foreskin can make it more difficult, particularly if the foreskin's very tight, can be very uncomfortable. I've read a lot of different reports from men who found that not having a foreskin has made things better, but I have also read men who said, obviously it desensitizes it because there's no barrier for friction. So I don't think it is comprehensive and it's harder to orgasm without a foreskin. But I would say that for me personally, everybody should be keeping their foreskins, everyone should be keeping their clitorises. Let's not genitally mutilate children.
I'm sure you agree on some level, but would you object?
Well, you know, the funny thing is, I wrote a column saying nobody wants to live in a world of uncircumcised penises, but I'll be clear, that's because I have to suffer and most men reading don't. More of an aesthetic preference than anything else. More of an aesthetic preference than anything else. Outside the satirical context of that column, I agree with you entirely. There's a problem here with religious rights. There's a problem because we have to, we run up against not just Jewish custom, but Islamic custom too. And of course, in the US, although the trend is away from circumcision, there was a time when pretty much everyone was circumcised in the US. The truth is that the rather than dealing in anecdote, the data tells us. That men having problems having been circumcised or not being circumcised, jury's out. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. Some people get very upset about this because they try to equate, circumcision with female genital mutilation. I think it's a bad comparison for a lot of reasons. I suppose the bottom line is the humane answer to this. The only real conclusion you can come to when you set the jokes aside is we shouldn't be doing it.
Can I just say one other thing? One of the other really big problems is there's this perception that circumcision is cleaner, and I think that's something we could really do to work against, because there's no there's no good evidence that as long as you have good hygiene in the first place, you need to not enforce good.
You're right about that.
We agree on something. Marvellous. Okay.
I knew it was going to be different.
Another.
Again.
Okay, so it's time to move on from this question, I'm afraid. One more question, and preferably on a different topic. So, let's go once more to the balcony. Yes.
Yeah, I just have to say, if already it is illegal by law to pay a man more than a woman, or a woman more than a man, why then? Firstly, why is it pay gap still exist in your mind back then? And secondly, what can you see about doing about it beyond making it illegal that can change the situation?
Sorry, I got distracted because it sounded like you said the pay gap in my mind, and that's what you meant, but it's not in my mind. What I would do about the pay gap would be, there's been a movement to publish more widely statistics, the figures of what people get paid.
Because it is already illegal.
Do you want to hear me talk, or do you want to talk?
Hold on a second. It's an entirely valid point to make. Sir, could you please allow us to finish?
Companies like Barclays, which have a very well-developed structure, do their payment in bands, and they go from 1 to 9, and there is a set amount that you can be paid within each band, and you can find out what band each person is in, which means that you're never in any doubt about whether you are being paid less than a colleague. The other thing is, one of the big reasons for the pay gap is that women are not good at going and saying, I'm really good, I want a pay rise. So we need to encourage women to go and say, I need a pay rise because I'm worth it. And that is a big issue that women need to deal with themselves.
Then how do you see it changing, apart from just constantly talking about it constantly? And saying...
Constantly talking about it constantly?
You need to actually go to these women and say, don't tell them all this nonsense. Go to them and say, if you are suffering, if you are not getting paid the same as a man, go to your employer. Don't arrange help.
Take him to court. I mean, you'll
actually take them, tell them, you can go to your employer. We'll help you find your employer, get them to pay more. One of them, give them a legal piece.
So you're suggesting that I should go to every woman in the UK and give them legal
I don't want to let
Orderly.
about people in the audience. It's sarcastic and glib and patronising. When people are asking serious questions, it's really disrespectful.
Milo, you're 5 minutes in.
I want to address the men in the audience. Sorry, ladies. I love you, but this is for the boys. The question posed to us today was whether we've reached an age of gender equality. I don't think we have. We've overshot the age of gender equality by a long stretch, and men of your generation are going to be the primary victims of this error. In secondary school, you will have experienced a system that is tilted against boys. Your exams will have been primarily modular, not linear, a system that favours girls. Teachers will have tried to control and pathologise your boisterous behaviour, branding you young offenders for pranks or cyberbullies, for typical male teenage trash talk. Taunting, after all, is how men bond. Your female peers will be encouraged at every stage of their educational journey. They will be told to join a STEM field. They'll be showered, in fact, with grants and awards, prizes and encouragement. And then when they do get to applying for those jobs, you will be discriminated against just because they're a girl. You'll be the recipients of nothing. There are no programs for men. The suggestion of having a men's officer at York University was laughed at by the student union. At university, you will be told that you're rapists in waiting, that you need to attend consent classes. Your natural love and affection for women will be neutered. You will be faced with an impossible choice: suppress your natural, healthy romantic interest in women, or risk a charge of rape or sexual harassment. If you speak out against this hostile and unfair environment, you will be persecuted by rabid mobs of politically correct lunatics, as well as the full force of the establishment media as well. When your studies are completed, you'll enter a jobs market that is stacked against you. With companies pressured from all directions to hire women, you will be at a 2-to-1 disadvantage if you are in STEM subjects, and possibly worse in others. If you do happen to land a job, a single inappropriate remark or a single accusation of an inappropriate remark or any unsubstantiated allegation can destroy your reputation forever. Despite all this, I'm not worried for you, because you're men. Your incalculable, intolerable, impossible obstacles have been placed before you precisely to overcome. And overcoming is what men do best. It's in the nature of men to battle on under impossible odds. We do that in war, we do that in all sorts of things, and we will do it here. Throughout your education, you will have been fed a grim history of what men have done through the centuries. You'll be told that straight white men are worse than the Nazis. You'll have been told nothing good about your sex, your race, or your orientation. But I'm going to tell you something good, and it is, if the patriarchy exists, women should be grateful for it. It is what took us to space. It is what builds roads. It is what built the internet. It is what protects and provides for women. If it exists, thank God it does. With their strength and determination, men have tamed the wilderness. Men built cities and walls around us. They built the buildings that we're in. And their curiosity led us to explore the oceans. Their ingenuity has allowed us to reach the moon. And whenever, feminism rises up and tries to ridicule you, to demean you for what you are, and, it's interesting, I was going to talk at this university, right, and I was called by my interlocutor a troll. She said it would demean the institution to have me here. When she talked about a Sunday Times article by a respected journalist, she sought to demonize him, even though he's not here to defend himself. She said Martin Daubney was a bad person. Martin Daubney is a close friend of mine. He's a great person. He spent the last 5 years of his life advocating for the rights of men and boys. But this is what they do. Don't pay any attention to it. Don't listen to it. We're not in an age of gender equality. Straight white women in the West are the most privileged class in the history of our species. But you'll be fine.
To begin with, they'll be followed by 10 minutes where they will discuss with each other, which I'll try and shut them backwards a little bit. This will be followed by 20 minutes of questions from the floor. Questions will be chosen at random. Both speakers will have a chance to respond to these questions. They'll be followed by another 10 minutes of debate, and then closing 5 minutes of protected speech each. It's agreed beforehand that you would lead the first one?
For the rest of the year. What she hears is, I'm paid 77 cents to a male dollar, or whatever, right? This is based on the conflation of wages and earnings. No woman is paid less for the same work as a man. That's illegal. And if they were, but they all get the jobs.
You've got to have had the degree, you've got to have done STEM, you've got to have the A-levels, the GCSE, and then the degree.
Yes, and when women choose to do that, they have a 2-to-1 advantage over men in the workplace, and they get paid less.
When they choose to do it, yes. But you have to decide, in England, you have to choose at 15 if you're going to do sciences or not. And at 15, women and girls aren't encouraged to do so. So, yes.
First off, we'll go over the format of tonight's debate and also the rules that structure it. So my job here is twofold. My first is to ensure a consistent quality of debate. My second is to ensure the format of the safe space policy is upheld. So, the format, for those of you who are not aware. Both speakers will be given 5 minutes of protected speech.
Yes, companies would be full of them. Women don't apply for jobs at the same rates as men. It wouldn't matter. Employers would hire the women anyway because they're cheaper. It doesn't make any difference. And frankly, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny either. Because if you start looking at studies that are coming out now, Cornell, 2015, women going into STEM subjects have a 2-to-1 advantage over men going for the same jobs. Fewer women do apply.